Welcome to the Chef's Kitchen Healthy Fine Dining series. I'm your host, Nicole Gaffney, and we're here today with the Pocono Mountain Visitor Bureau, along with St. Luke's University Health Network, where we're joining together doctors and chefs to create healthy new menu options to be featured at their restaurants. And joining me in the kitchen today is Chef Evan Munley of the Settlers Inn, along with physical therapist Jason Finney. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being on the show today. I'm really excited to get cooking. What are we making?
We're going to be searing some scallops. It's going to come with the Summer Succotash as well as a local tomato broth, and we're going to sear some very fresh and local kale to go underneath it to create a nice bed for it.
Sounds healthy and sounds delicious, so let's get started.
Okay.
All right.
So to get started over here, Jason, I'll take you. We're going to have to do a few simple knife cuts. Okay. I'm going to show you it first really quick. We have a tomato here. It comes from Dave Nonamaker, who is very, very local in our neck of the woods up in Hawley, Pennsylvania. It's about 10 miles from our restaurant. We're going to start by taking the top off, but we're going to reserve this because we don't like to waste any part of the tomato. So we're going to cut around the stem here. And then the easiest way I find to cut a tomato is just to coin it out. And then after that,
that tomato smells amazing. You know it's a good tomato if you can actually smell it.
It's almost so hard to cut because it's so fresh and ripe.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's kind of just breaking underneath the knife. We'll move this off to the side. I'll finish this one up and I'll let you take care of the next one.
All right.
So like you could see, the skin is pretty soft because they're very fresh, they're local, completely organic.
Great time of year for tomatoes.
Dave has actually been growing tomatoes for us for 30 to 40 years.
Really?
And he's completely organic.
So he knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. He's actually a retired guidance counselor and then moved into this, and I think he should have been doing this whole time. So I'll let you go ahead and take over that there.
Now, Jason, do you like to cook at home?
I like to cook. I'm not very proficient at it, as my wife would tell you. I'm pretty good in a grill, but other than that,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll learn a thing or two today. All right,
no,
so
you're all right. So you're just going to go a little bit deeper, and let me show you one trick really quick. So instead of you're holding the tomato like this, it leaves you the wrist to cut your fingers. So if you hold it like that, the worst you're ever going to do is cut your knuckle, and it also allows you to kind of grip the tomato up a little bit. Then you're just going to go a little bit deeper, and we'll put that off to the side, and go ahead and give it another shot. All right, so I'm going to come over here, and we're going to start assembling a few things for the succotash. It's really just kind of throwing a few things in the bowl and making it taste right.
Okay.
We're going to start with the lima beans here. I have about a cup.
Nice.
I like to go a 1-to-1 ratio with the lima beans and the corn, if you want to go ahead and toss those in there.
Now, corn and lima beans, is that pretty much the definition of a succotash?
Yeah, so succotash is a Native American dish. It was invented when they didn't have they didn't have a lot of means to feed a lot of people, and they certainly had to. So it was actually brought over by the Europeans, and what the lima bean was, in fact. And it was brought over, and it was just a really, really easy way to feed a lot of people. And yeah, it's pretty much a mixture of lima beans, corn, and any type of herb and spice you want to throw in there. Awesome. So yeah, I have a chive and parsley mix. We're going to just go ahead and dump right in there.
All right.
And then a little bit of red wine vinegar. I don't have it measured out here because I like to cook by heart. So about 1.5 tablespoons in there. And then if you want to just do the same thing with the lemon juice.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, you should be good right
Always
there.
add more if you need it, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's easier to take it out or put it back in than take it out.
It's a great rule of thumb.
Some salt here.
Okay.
Gonna hit it with a good 3-finger pinch.
3-finger pinch, I like that.
Yeah. And once Jason over here is done cutting up some tomatoes.
And he's doing a fine job at that.
Absolutely. And I think we're actually going to be pretty good there. In a moment, I'll show you how we're going to move into the peppers. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take some of these local tomatoes, get them right in there.
Nice.
Kind of brighten this up. I don't like to go too heavy on the tomato and the succotash because it's going to come with the tomato broth, so I don't want to overpower it.
Now, do you keep this raw? Or do you cook it?
Oops, sorry. I'm going to cook it a little bit. I like to serve it a little bit above room temperature. I don't want it to be like really, really hot. I don't want to brown the lima beans. I like them to stay green.
Just kind of warm it through.
Yeah, just so you know you're not eating a cold component on top of a warm broth.
Physical therapy is a profession that allows people to optimize their quality of life through hands-on techniques, prescribed exercises, and patient education in ways to prevent and manage their conditions to achieve long-term health benefits. Somebody should consider physical therapy if they've noticed that their quality of life is decreasing, whether it be because of pain, decreased range of motion or strength, they're having trouble getting up and down from a chair, or the pain they're having is limiting their ability to do the things that they like to in their everyday life.
So right here, we have what's called a Habanero pepper.
Yeah, let's talk about these because they look like they're going to be fiery hot.
They actually aren't. That's the trick.
Okay.
So it looks like a habanero pepper, but it has 0 heat. I want both of you to try it once I start cutting into it. It has the exact flavor of a habanero, but no heat at all. It's called
awesome.
a habanado.
Because I love the
There's at the grocery
flavor
store?
of habaneros.
They do not. I got this from a local farmer from Lato Sud Farms. I believe his name is John D. Pasquale. And he grows a variety of peppers, a lot of them solely for us at Settlers. They're another farm that's been working with us for many years.
Nice.
I'm going to try and just get some of the seeds out of here.
Okay. And is that really just for the texture? Because typically you would take the seeds out if they're hot.
Yeah, for the texture. I like it to look clean. I don't want to see
True.
seeds floating around in there. Then they start floating around in the broth when the dish is complete. So I'm going to show you, it's what's called the pith, Jason. It's what you don't want in a pepper.
Okay.
It just gives it that dirty, musty taste. And then after this, it's just going to be kind of like a fine julienne going down the edge of the pepper here. And then these will get tossed right in there. And I'm going to have you finish cutting up the pepper there, and we'll put the rest in there. But
Can I taste
first,
a
I
little
was going to
piece?
say,
Yeah.
first, why don't we all try
I'm
a little
very
piece
intrigued.
here?
It smells like it's going to be hot.
Super
And
sweet.
You think that heat's going to come.
It brings the anticipation, like
Yeah.
you're waiting for it, you're about to start sweating, and it just goes
there's
away.
none.
They're perfectly sweet.
I love the flavor of habaneros. They're so fruity.
Well, this
so
is
sweet
this is
tasting,
the
but-
pepper right up your alley. Then.
Yeah.
It's called a habanado.
I'm into it. Now I just have to figure out where to buy them.
Just finish these here?
Yep, you can just finish that there. And I saw last time. Let me give you one more tip
Yeah.
on how to hold the knife.
Yep.
So if you see, you're holding it from back here. It's kind of. Have you ever played baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Long
so
time
you
ago.
want to choke
Long
up on
time
the bat to give it that leverage, right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing. It's called a pinch grip. You want to kind of grab right up here, grab the blade,
Okay.
and then if you hide your fingers, you could just rock right through it, and you never
Okay.
have to worry about cutting yourself. You have a
Okay.
lot of stability on the blade.
That was a
Very good.
great lesson. Nice.
There you
Look
go.
at that. You're a pro now.
All right, thank you.
Take
You're
me
killing
out.
it.
Take me out of a job.
Oh, I don't know about that. Just put it in.
Yep, you could just go ahead and throw that right there in the succotash.
Cool.
So in here, it's not going to need too much oil, just because it's lubricated.
Sure.
For lack of better terms, there's a lot of liquid in there. Give it another toss, make sure it's all incorporated.
What kind of heat are you cooking that on?
It's about a medium-high heat. Like I said, I'm not really looking to cook it too much. I just want to really marry all the flavors together and make sure it's warm when it goes on the dish.
As a physical therapist, tell me a little bit about your practice and what kind of a person comes in to see a physical therapist.
Our practice is up in Broadheadsville. We've been there for about 2 years. Just started.
Keep working. Just don't feel like it's late.
As far as who comes into physical therapy, our practice is predominantly orthopedics.
Ah, okay.
So people, either pre-surgery, post-surgery, aches and pains.
Yeah.
We get some people with vestibular problems as well, so we do some balance
Okay.
training, stuff like that.
A lot of sports injuries, do you
Yes,
see?
yeah, a lot of sports
I
injuries.
bet.
Yeah, workman's comp, auto, stuff like that as well.
Sure. So your main role is just to kind of get people moving back the way they used to move.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, get them or better than they've
Or
been
better.
before. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. Perfect.
And if you see here, we're starting to bubble. We're cooking out a little bit of that acidity from the red wine vinegar, allowing the salt to infuse in there, as well as the herbs are starting to release their oils.
Okay. Boy, if I tried to do that, the food would be all over the floor.
To flip it, the trick when flipping a pan is to really commit. I work an omelet and a crepe bar sometimes, and I have to tell that to people all the time.
That's a really good tip.
You really have to commit. If
Yeah.
you stop halfway through, it's on the floor. You are absolutely right there. So it's inevitable.
That's great.
So while this pan heats up for the scallops here, I'm going to actually get another pan right here to show you how we're going to saute our local kale.
Okay.
I picked one that's a little too small here, so
Sure.
we'll just get that one away. This pan's going to heat up, and when it comes to kale, people cook it a lot of different ways. I
Yeah.
personally like to saute it right from raw. I like my
You don't blanch
vegetable.
it or anything?
I like my vegetables to be as close to raw as possible, and also still have a little crunch. I like
Yeah.
the toothiness to it. So I'm going to take this and go in about a medium-high heat and saute it in just some oil, salt, and pepper. Kale is delicious on its
Yeah.
own. It really doesn't need too much.
Nice and sweet.
If I was going to try and get fancy with it, I'd throw a little garlic and some butter and lemon there. But with everything else going on in the
keep it
dish,
nice
I
and
think
simple.
simple is the best way to go here.
So now this dish is currently on the menu at the Settlers Inn?
It is,
Awesome.
yeah. And I strongly advise we come by and try it while the tomatoes are in their
Yeah,
prime.
seriously.
Because there's nothing like a fresh
Maybe
tomato.
another month or so.
Then we're going into butternut squash season, and oh God, when that hits the menu, forget about it.
Physical therapy works, I think, because It helps people be active in their own recovery, and it shows them exercises and techniques that they can use to help relieve their own pain. So an advantage of being part of the St. Luke's network for a patient is the fact that they're very focused on providing excellent customer care. We want to know how we can get people feeling better, faster, so you're back to your normal self.
Searing scallops, I always like to use a little bit more oil than I would with a different protein, just because I like the sear to kind of come up and encrust the side a little bit.
Really get them caramelized.
Yeah, I also don't really like to flip them or put them in the oven, so this way it's kind of almost like a shallow fry, just to ensure it cooks all the way through, and you have the textural variance from the sear on one side and then it being soft on the other side.
You're doing that on a higher heat then?
This is going to be on a high heat. I'm actually going to wait until the oil gets to what's called its smoking point. I'm going to wait until there's a little bit of white smoke rolling out of the pan, and then I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Over here we have scallops. These are U10 scallops. They are
beautiful.
They're about 110 to 155 miles off of the coast of New Bedford in Massachusetts. So they're not so local, but they don't make very long trips to get from where they come from to us.
But you gotta love the cold water shellfish.
Absolutely.
Nice and cold.
So we're gonna season this up a little bit. Oh, sorry guys.
All right.
Make sure we get a decent amount of salt and pepper on there. There's nothing like an unsalted protein, in my opinion.
And the tomato broth, are you going to talk about what's in that at all? Or?
I will, yep.
Okay, I'll let you get to that when you're ready then.
I'll shut this guy down. So now our succotash is hot. All those flavors have married together. We're just going to kind of let this chill and hang out so it's right above room temperature when it comes time for serving.
Okay.
Right now my oil, if you see, Jason, it's starting to get to that little white smoking point.
Yeah.
It has that shimmer to it when you move, and it's going to spit a little bit, so I'd step back.
And then how long do you actually cook them for?
If the oil's right and you got all the variables line up in place, I'd say you're probably going to sear it for about 2 minutes on one side, and then really quick, give it what's called a kiss. You're going to flip it over and just touch it to the other side to give it a little residual heat to come through the bottom and finish its cooking.
That's it. Okay.
And do you always cook scallops all the way through, or do you like to leave them a little under?
I like to leave my scallops around medium.
Yeah.
I have some crudos that I've cooked before where I use completely raw scallops. There's also the technique of ceviche, which I'm sure most people are familiar with, which is cooking through acidity. Set these right here. So when it comes to the tomato broth, we source the majority of our local tomatoes through Dave Nonamaker. The farm's about 5 to 15 miles from the Settlers Inn, so they are grown in the same soil. They're very local. He brings in sun-gold tomatoes that I would rather eat than go down.
Those are my favorite.
I'd rather eat those than go down the candy aisle. I swear to God, they are so good. What goes in it is, my secret is you got to char a few things. So I char some fennel seed, I char a little cinnamon stick, and I brulee my onions, which bruleeing is the browning of sugars, just kind of like caramelization is. And you brulee them, you throw them in there with a standard mirepoix, which is carrots, onions, a little celery, some garlic. I put a little bit of kombu and bonito in there, which is fish flakes and seaweed, just to add to the umami flavor of it, and
This is way more than just a basic tomato broth.
There's more than just tomatoes and water in there. And then after that, you strain all that good stuff out, you throw it back on the stove and clarify it all together. And it smells great. It has a little bit of what I guess you can call a spice to it, because I threw the fennel and the cinnamon in there. It's not a heat, it's like the fall spice that you would think of when you think of pumpkin and cinnamon.
But you just strain the whole spices out?
Yep, I strain the entire broth out.
So it's probably just a real subtle infusion.
Yep, you could. I mean, it's pretty much, if you could smell it, that's all you're gonna taste out of it. You almost wouldn't even know it was in there if I didn't tell you.
I noticed you haven't even touched these scallops since you put them in the pan.
Nope, I'm just letting them. So what's happening right here is the protein on the bottom of the scallop is browning. That's called the Maillard reaction. It's very similar to the caramelization action, which is the browning of sugars. This here is the browning of proteins. And that really changes the flavor of a protein and kind of ties the whole room together when it comes to eating it.
You can see that brownness starting to creep up on the sides. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
So what I did,
that's what you want in a
what I
scallop.
did about 30 seconds ago is I killed the heat. I shut it off completely. I'm going to give these a quick flip.
Wow.
Let them just finish up cooking on the other side. And then, in the meantime, I'm going to grab a mixing bowl here. just to set them in something while they rest. I don't know if you're familiar with a resting time or carryover cooking.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so when I take the scallop out of the pan, there's obviously going to be residual heat trapped inside of the scallop. So essentially, it's going to keep on cooking a little bit when I take it out of the pan. So I want to take it out and allow that heat to escape so that the scallop is cooked evenly, because if you take it out and you cut it right in half, that heat is going to escape immediately and not allow itself to cook its way through the meat.
Okay.
Which also, it just allows for the juices to stay inside of the protein. It allows for a much more even color when you cut it open, so if you're cutting a steak, it just makes it more visually appealing.
Right.
And as well as, like I said before, the biggest point is that it holds the juices in, so your steak, so your protein doesn't become dry.
These look great.
Yeah, I mean, they smell great, they look great. I'm excited about
Yeah,
this.
I am too.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry. For me as a practitioner, I think the benefit of being part of the network, because they're very focused on excellent quality of care, there's a lot of continuing education opportunities to kind of stay on top of what's cutting edge and what we can do to help our patients get better.
My name is Jim Hamill, and I'm the Director of Public Relations for the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. I'm in charge of spreading the message of all that's happening in the Poconos. We have turned into a large destination for people throughout the major metros, from New York to Philly to Baltimore to DC, to come and recreate, to come and relax and spend time at family resorts and really get a sense of space in the Pocono Mountains. 2,400 square miles of nature.
I'm gonna go right in. This pan's been on since we started searing the scallops.
That's nice and hot,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, she's pretty hot. It's only been at a medium-high heat, so it's not at, like, scorching hot, but it's where we need it to be. And it looks like a decent amount of kale for one dish, but just like, you know, when you're cooking spinach, it does the same thing. It cooks right down. I'm gonna add a little spice in there, just a little bit. It's salt and pepper, but I feel like salt or kale, as you cook it down, becomes naturally salty. So I try and go light. Try and go light with the salt.
Good to know.
Now, are you looking to just really wilt these greens, or are you trying to get a little bit of char on them?
Kind of both at the same time. Obviously, wilt them so that they're a little bit easier to eat and they're more tooth friendly. But I really like to brown things a little bit, and I'm going to look for I'm not going to turn into a kale chip, but I am going to brown the outside of it a little bit
of textural contrast.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Same thing with the scallops before. That's why I only sear one side.
Nice.
I'm going to speed this process up a little bit. Little tip and technique here. Since the pan is hot, and like I said before, you could blanch the kale before you cook it, and I'm going to kind of blanch it as I'm cooking it. So now we're going to create a little steam.
So that's just going to help move
It's going to help it cook down. Yeah, move it along a little faster.
You can move it to this burner if you want to. Nice. So now that really happens pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you see how the color just changed to that nice,
really bright.
Yeah, darker but vibrant green. That's what you're looking for when you're blanching almost any green vegetable. So if I were to take this out, like say this were green bean or broccoli, I would be pulling it out right now, hitting it in an ice bath, locking those enzymes where they are, and it'll stay nice and green just like that.
How do you know when this is done?
Kind of just by look and feel. Like I said, I'm really just kind of.
Did that get you?
A little bit. It's all right. It's part of the job.
Yeah, not your first.
Just looking for it to get soft enough for us to eat and kind of workable, you know. So when it's kind of by preference when it's done. Some people like it mushy. Some people will eat it raw. I think we're almost just about getting there here. I'm going to really quick a little bit of lemon juice. Lemon juice is like one of my favorite ingredients. I put it in almost everything. Lemon juice with a little bit of vegetable.
Just really kind of brings out that flavor.
Well, lemon juice, just like salt, is actually a natural flavor enhancer. So if you use just the right amount to the point where it doesn't overwhelm your taste buds, it'll actually just bring the other flavors to the forefront of your taste buds. All right.
There you go. Let's see this all come together.
So we are going to start with our bed of kale here. Bring this right into the bowl. Just like that. Here, why don't you try? We're going to create a little wreath of greens around the bottom of the bowl.
Ooh, a wreath
just around
of
the
greens.
edge?
Yep, just around the edge. Just create a little nest for the succotash to go into.
Very well done.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Good with tongs.
Yep, so we got that.
Wreath making 101.
Take the succotash right in the center of the pot, or the center of the wreath, as I called it before. Now we have our tomato broth, and I'm actually going to just give it a little stir and pour it right through here. So this, we're going to try and just create like a moat-like effect around the outside. So you don't want it drowning, but you want it to be able to be seen on the exterior of the dish.
Okay.
A little bit more there on the outside.
I like how it adds even more color to that plate.
Now lastly, it's going to get its scallop here. This is exactly how it'll be served at the restaurant.
Wow, you do 4?
Yep, with
That's a nice portion.
Our 4 U10 scallops. We're gonna come over here. What
Got
these
some
are?
finishing touches?
Yeah, I got some finishing touches.
Look at you.
This is what's called a chili thread. It is
Oh, I thought this was
I thought it was
saffron.
saffron,
Yeah, saffron would be a little bit smaller. This is it's as simple as it is. It's really just the
Yeah,
thread
it's
of a chili pepper.
They're beautiful.
So we put this on there for a little height and color. This is oil that's been infused with chili and garlic. It's also has another name called teperalayu. It's a Japanese ingredient.
Wow.
So we're gonna hit this over each one here.
Nice. You're just really building the flavors here.
Absolutely. These are marigolds that are actually grown in our garden there at Settlers. We have what's called the Chef's Demonstration Garden, and we use it for, we grow a small amount of eggplant and lemongrass, as well as a few of our own tomatoes and herbs, as well as edible garnish for us to make plates look beautiful just like this.
And these are totally edible.
Totally edible.
Wow.
So they're food safe. You can put it on any dish. And then these are local pea shoots that I get from a farmer.
This is almost too pretty to eat. Like, I don't even want to mess up this work of art that
I
you
was
created.
going to say, they say food is
I
art,
wouldn't
right?
eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you help me dig in. The scallops. Oh my gosh, they look perfect.
They are indeed.
They are really perfect.
That's delicious.
This is a really lovely dish. It's so light and it's so unique. Well, tomato broth is such a surprising element too, because it really does bring a lot to the table. And that little bit of chili oil that you put over the top adds a nice like viscosity to it. It makes it really feel nice on your tongue.
Yeah, it is a good mouthfeel. It's very
It does,
rich.
yeah, it's great. Thank you guys both for being on the show. It was
welcome.
a really, really great time.
Thank you.
For the tips, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. My experience here on Chef's Kitchen was great. It was a very warming experience. I had a great time working with everybody and cooking here in this kitchen. I would come back and do it almost any day. It was a great time.